And we are live. Welcome back to another episode of WrestlePurists Worldwide, hosted by your usual panel, myself, Joe Hulbert, Ibu of WrestlePurists, better known as Backup Hangman, and Manny the Hooper has managed to get himself cleared at the very, very last moment, and he has arrived and he is joining us here at the start. Hopefully he can stick with us throughout. And yeah, man, we got a lot to get into, ranging from match of the year contenders in the US. Well, not even the US, in Canada, in Canada, in Japan, all over the place. It was a big, big weekend for wrestling. And today there's news ranging from Nick Aldis to WWE, other stuff, and we're gonna be all over the place talking just wrestling. Our usual thing. First things first. So please like, subscribe, super chat, turn on post notifications. Always, always appreciated. Hope everyone's doing well. Starting with my co-host, Manny the Hooper. You managed to make a shock appearance in the StreamYard just as we was about to go live. How did you manage to make it in time, brother?
I don't know, the stream, for some reason my data's usually pretty fast, but it's been going really slow today, and it kind of sucks because I've been trying to watch YouTube videos, and it's just been that circle button, plays for a 5 minute circle button, and then, I mean, I finally got to work after like maybe 5 minutes of trying to load the StreamYard link, so, yeah, I'm here for a short time, not a long time.
Are you here for now? That's all that matters, Hulbert, you are here indeed. Nice shirt, looking snazzy for the worldwide audience. You're always doing your best. How
That's
you
right,
doing
bro.
today, though?
I'm just delighted to be on the screen with the Hooper again. We were supposed to be on Thursday, Manny couldn't make it. Then we were going to do a show on Saturday, and I couldn't make it. But I haven't seen him in years at this point of our usual schedules. I'm delighted to be on here once again, and what a weekend of wrestling. I've said it a lot recently. I'm very kind of cautious about going full enjoyable wrestling, but man, that weekend there is so much. It's incredible. We're just having a blast with it. So I'm delighted to be here to talk about some of it.
It is hard at the moment after weekends like last weekend not to lean into that. Just enjoy all wrestling, Be the
Yeah.
hippie on the timeline.
Like it's super corny, but like at times is what you think because when you see people stressing about very minute things, it's like, I don't know, man. Much like Aaron Hanare drops someone on his head or get dropped on his head to that mouth. There's so much grabs, Like it's just...
Absolutely. Backup Hangman, Ibu, my good friend. How you doing to start this week off?
Yeah, I can't really complain. I mean, we're coming off a great weekend of professional wrestling. I'm not paralyzed, and my neck is feeling better.
Result.
Yeah, and
it's always nice,
and
wake up in the morning, you're not paralyzed.
Yeah, that was. Listen, it was brutal midweek, and right now I'm feeling pretty good again. Neck's been taken care of. Pause, and look, man, I'm here with the worldwide guys. Manny made it despite not being around most of the day, and tonight, Gunther is wrestling and Chad Gable is wrestling on a pirate ship, man. And what more can you ask as a man on his day off?
A pirate ship?
Yes. The Viking Raiders and Alpha Academy are having a Viking rules match, which is literally they build a pirate ship around the ring, and it's a no DQ match, tornado tag, in a pirate ship.
Certainly,
it's something I don't even know how that. I mean, I don't even know what that even looks like.
Did you see the last one, Monty, with the New Day in them?
I vaguely remember it.
Yeah.
I vaguely remember it. It was definitely interesting. It's definitely a setup that's worth at least seeing a little screenshot of.
Give me a belly to belly off the ship. You know what I mean? To a table. Why not? It's a nice way to spend your Monday evening.
Yeah, man. I hope, like I said, it's happy to see that my co-hosts are doing well today, and gonna go straight into some super chats. That's what I'm going for. Hope everyone in the live chat is doing tremendous on this Monday evening. Darren KG, $5. Either of the Osprey Omega matches better than FTR versus Bullet Club Gold 2.
Why do you gotta fucking do this to me? Why do you?
You're allowed an opinion, man.
Why do we? Fuck.
Giggling to himself, Be a man.
I don't think either is as good as FTR versus Bullet Club Gold.
Wow.
I think maybe the first
I'm
one.
sure
but
the
First one is still my match of the year.
The first one is extremely comparable. I think like there's about like 4 matches in my head this year that are like.
Darren in the chat.
Let me see.
Yeah.
It is fair, man. It is fair.
Yeah.
I have Aaron Hernare and Mikey Nichols in my top 10 this year
Come
too.
on, man. We'll get to it, but come on.
Manny broke his Twitter. Here's the thing. See, I told y'all. I said a few days ago I tagged Manny. Said it's a Hooper special because when you watch like a really beast like match between 2 potentially shitter adjacent wrestlers working that hard to kill each other, I'm like, yeah, this is a nice, cool thing this weekend. Like, cool.
Have you read the cage match reviews for that match?
It's don't even get me started.
It's very mixed.
This is why it's a worldwide special.
Bro, somebody said it was abysmal that these guys worked that hard and they killed themselves. These guys shouldn't have done that. I said, bro, what the fuck are you guys talking about, bro?
You know why this match is a worldwide special?
I wish I could.
It feels like it belongs in 2005 Puro. It's a little clunky. They work super hard. It's very violent they work super hard. It's very violent and dangerous, and it has a mixed score on cage match, which makes it a worldwide special. You know, because we find the value in beastness in these types of wrestling matches. You know,
and the funny thing is, the lore about that match for me was nobody, since I have been off Twitter mostly and I've been off everything. I had no idea about this match until like this morning when I was scrolling through matches I wanted to watch for the G1. And then I just happened to fast forward and it just froze on Hanare's face. And I said, holy shit, when did he get a face tat? and I said, and he's bald? I said, I need to rewind this and I need to respect this game, bro. He got a face tat on his face. And I just watched it.
I was on Twitch, and real quick shout out to the Twitch, man. You guys were awesome this weekend. We did an 8-hour stream on Twitch on fucking Saturday. Unreal. I was there for about 4.5 to 5 hours of that whole thing. And I was talking crazy about Mr. Mikey Nichols before this G1 festivity started. I was like, who the fuck wants to watch Mikey Nichols in a G1? And then I watched Mikey Nichols in a G1, and it was like, okay, all right, he thinks he's Roddy. Okay.
Hopefully he's okay, man, because he was on a different planet for the second half of that match. He was not in Japan for the G1. He was somewhere else.
He was in Australia.
He might have been, bro.
Joe, the look in his eyes evoke memories of people we cannot name anymore.
Indeed. there was a very frightening like distance in his eyes. It was like he was elsewhere. I mean, look, man. Let's be real, okay? He wasn't there, but Aaron Henare being like, "Yeah, man, give me your finish." Like, I mean, no.
It was funny because I was like, man, I really hope that Mikey Nichols doesn't beat him. And then halfway through the match, after he was all bleeding, I said, "Fuck it, bro, just beat him." I mean, Mikey Nichols should win the whole thing.
Joe, did you know that I fell asleep live on stream?
I did not know that, but knowing some of the matches on the G1 opening weekend, I believe it. I'm assuming it was like, was this night 1 or night 2?
Night 2. Take your guess.
Oh, this was the evil match for sure.
Yeah.
I didn't even watch it, bro. I turned off after Tanahashi and Zach. I ain't watching that. I'm not watching that shit.
It was a 20-minute evil match at 4 a.m.
Ooh.
Yeah.
It's actively like disgusting that Evil is in Eddie's group. He's blocked. That's like so unnecessary.
Oh
It's
man, don't
perverse.
get me started.
They could have had a
Eddie.
good match. Like 2019 Evil would have probably like had a sweet match with Eddie King. They would have whacked each other a lot, you know?
Mhm.
Yeah, man. Something like that.
You know,
Something
the Japanese fans fucking roasted Eddie Kingston this morning, bro. I saw.
They did?
Yeah, there's
Man, he
like
was sending me screenshots of Reddit posts on from
they
Japanese
cooked his
fans
ass,
on
bro.
Eddie Kingston. It was very spiteful, to be honest. You know.
I don't know how I feel about this new trend of like referring to the Japanese wrestling audience as just like 10 people on Twitter. I'm not sure how I feel about it. It's a
I
new
don't
trend.
know how I
scaring me.
feel about it, you know.
It's like
Seeing upsetting comments about Eddie Kingston in another language, you know, it strikes a nerve, you know.
It was funny because they were making fun of him, and then I was watching the crowd, and I was listening to the crowd, and you just hear small Eddie chants throughout the whole match. I'm like, I mean,
Yeah.
same thing's going on.
Yeah,
Well,
it is what it is.
Yeah. He's over there. He's loving life, you know. He's good for him. People are bringing up Ibu falling asleep and snoring on the live stream. The things that we do on Twitch, you know. Uh,
I never watched it back. All I know is it's all a date. I don't know how I don't even know how the stream ended. I don't know how I was removed from this thing. I just know I'm watching this thing. Evil's there, and I kid you not, Monty. Before the match started, right? I asked AO, I'm like, "How many more matches have we got?" He's like, "Oh, it's just two more, nigga." I was like, "Oh, I got this." I'm like, "Yo, like, just two more matches to go, man. I'll run the fucking gauntlet." You know, because here's the thing, Joe. Everybody's dropping off. Oh, I gotta go to bed now. I gotta go to bed. And AO's like, "Nah, I'm powering through." I said, "Yeah, I'm fucking powering through too." You know, two matches, let's go. Evil starts, right? After like 2-3 minutes, all I hear is Joe, we're watching in silence. This is the first time all stream we've been quiet, right? We're watching in silence for about 3 minutes, and all you hear is, "Oh no, bro." And I'm just like, "Yo, I need to stand now." And then
The thing that makes it funnier is the first two shows, that crowd was very quiet.
Mhm.
And someone was saying to me that the towns and the cities that don't get as many shows are still adjusting to being able to make noise again. Whereas Tokyo now is kind of back to where it was. Someone was playing this on Friday. They kind of warned me. And when you watch these shitty matches with those crowds, I forgot how funny that is. Like Evil like dictating a heat segment to just absolute silence. There's something sort of perversely humorous about it, right? Like there's something comedic to that because there's no
100%.
sound. It's just
The best example about that is David Finlay. Like his match with Ishii, I thought it was fucking awesome, bro. I was on my feet,
really
and then, but you just hear the
Mm.
crowd not give a fuck about David Finlay, and then every time Ishii did a lariat or something, they were going crazy.
The other one was, and I like this guy, so it's not like a talent thing, but it just is the way it is. Like Gabe Kidd doing his like "I'm a geezer" act, you know. He's like, "I'm gonna do this," and then the crowd's just like, "Oh man," you know.
You know, the funniest part about those G1 crowds is they feel like they haven't watched New Japan in like a year and a half.
Right.
Because they're like, "Oh, Naito," you know. It's like some of these other guys are just still trying to kind of get going. It's kind of, who the fuck is this jack off, you know? Yeah.
The funny thing is, I texted Monty this morning. Was like, "Oh man, Kiyomiya and Tsuji make Shooter and Narita look like losers, bro." Like, I mean, these guys.
We're gonna get to that because
Okay.
a lot of people like to come at me for my choice for my handpicked horses for the future of Puro, right? And all you fuckers can kiss my ass,
Bro,
you know?
and then if I'm Noah, man, I'm watching now, man. New Japan's gonna steal Kiyomiya, man. You hear the way they're talking about him on English commentary?
Here's the thing.
They were saying he's gonna be the next pillar with these guys. And I'm like, oh fuck.
Here's the deal. If I'm Noah, I go, fuck it. Just fucking steal Kento, you know? Just fucking steal Kento.
I mean, it would be a hell of a replacement, especially
Yes.
well, Kento is an animal, you know. I
He
finished watching the Nakajima match about 30 minutes ago.
Oh my god.
He might be the wrestler of the year, like genuinely.
Got a case. 100% got a case.
Like, I think he's got like 3 or 4 of my top 10. Like,
you know
know,
what's the
man.
nastiest
Tag
thing about-
matches, single matches, whatever you want, Joe, you know.
Yo,
he's
Joe and Monty,
unbelievable.
without like, you know, shitting on any burgeoning young talents trying to find their way in Japan. I watched Kento and Nakajima after the G1 matches, and I'm watching Kento just be charismatic and lead the chants and get them to go Kento, Miyahara, Kento, and the charisma and the projection and him coming out great in the setting. And I'm just kind of like, you know, some guys just have it, some guys don't, and I'll leave it at that. You know, some guys just some guys are real. You know?
Bro, my favorite.
How are you feeling about this one, man?
I haven't seen QT and Penta yet. I've only seen a GIF.
I haven't
but
either.
Mm.
Yeah.
I would have had it all watched. Like I said, man, I've been kind of down on wrestling as a whole, and then after not being on Twitter for a while, just watching it all day without having anybody tell me what's been good or bad. Hey man, it changes your life. It just sucks that my internet went out on the day I felt like I thought I was back into wrestling.
It is a different experience.
Manny the Hooper changed his life and lost his internet connection in one weekend. all of that happened.
Man,
Not going on.
it's something else, man.
But yeah, Mads fan appreciate the 199. And
Wait, from his camera
I think Manny
angle,
will enjoy QT versus Penta as well, to be honest, you know.
I'd imagine. So.
It is definitely a match, you know.
The only comment I saw was from somebody about that match was like, do they like? I saw somebody say, do they just exchange Penta when he goes into Mexico, or is it somebody else in his gear in the U.S.? Because like they're two different guys. And I said, yeah, I mean, it might be true. There might be a clone or something of Penta.
He's
That's
feeling
hilarious.
it when he's in those AAA matches, bro. Let me tell you. You know, the blood starts pouring, and he's out there, bro. You know, he's out
He's
there.
And
he's
you,
a he's a superstar in the setting, man.
He is, man. Zayd 94.99. My pal who doesn't watch Graps watched WrestleMania because of Cody versus Roman, which is why they're two top draws. He loved Intercontinental match, but called it meat slapping mayhem.
Oh my god, it's quite vulgar.
by,
Did
by
you
that
guys?
logic, by that logic, LA Knight's a superstar in my family household.
Did you did you guys see?
Hold on.
Yeah.
What's LA Knight got your family tuning into?
I don't know. Every time I see him, they always ask me about LA Knight. I told you guys last time. They said it. Why did he get screwed out of the Money in the Bank? I said, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't watch.
I'm so glad you made this show, bro. Good
This is
lord.
like when Joe's father asked him about Eddie. You know,
Is he at Wembley? Is he gonna make it?
Manny, you're gonna watch
You know?
SummerSlam? LA Knight's gonna face the Hudson Theory. It's like what?
Yeah, that rules.
Did you guys
Fired up.
see? Did you guys see the fucking ticket sales for this week's Raw and SmackDown?
I don't know. We'll get to it, bro.
Oh, we are. Okay.
Are we gonna talk about Roman being the best wrestler in the world?
Oh, brother. We need more time.
No, this motherfucker wants it. If you missed it, Joe, a lot of the pundits this week had to kind of evaluate this whole thing, and a lot of them surprisingly picked Roman. Even guys who weren't like Fed-leaning people were just kind of like, if you base it off the criteria of Dave's Observer newsletter, then it's probably him, and it was just pretty interesting to see.
As wrestler of the year, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, I thought because Manny's the best in the world. I thought,
No, no.
I mean, yeah, man, yeah.
Yeah, we know.
It's fine, it's fine.
Manny gets, we lose it in translation, And he's speaking in hooperism,
I
Yeah.
heard those arguments. Say, yeah, fuck it, man, put it on him. I mean,
But yo, Glick Foley, 9.99, appreciate you very much. Ricky winning not only ruined Punk's red bag angle, but he's now the lineal AEW champ, which is so nasty. In my opinion, ESPN piece boxed, but the ESPN piece boxed Punk into needing to put Ricky over, despite it not being best story wise at this point. I botched that quite a bit, but I think I got the point across. Appreciate you very much, Glick Foley.
Yeah.
Definitely something worth talking about for a minute.
bro, that was nasty, bro. Going from that, Punk losing, Ricky having a bad match with Punk, to him disrespecting Liger, to Christian Archer and Orange. I said, man, that's like a fucking 1-2 punch for me, man. I was like, fuck, man, this is way to ruin my night on a Saturday night.
Yeah, I'm a believer in Ricky Starks. I'm a fan, but I said it last week. I don't think there's been signs as of late that he should be getting a win of that magnitude. But hopefully it pays off. I mean, they've made a commitment in that regard. I understand, like, people were saying it wasn't clean. I don't care if it was clean or not. That was a big deal for Ricky. Like, the match didn't go as planned in terms of quality, I don't think. I didn't think it was bad like many did, but I didn't love it. Hopefully this choice pays off. I think it was a pretty puzzling one, personally. That's just me.
No, it's definitely a brave choice, and it's just you have to follow through with it now, regardless of what your plans were or weren't. You have to follow through with it now. You can't, like you said, you can't give him a win of that magnitude and just kind of keep him kind of where he was, because he was heavily featured, especially since Collision started. But you have to really. We'll see what happens. Like, is the heel turn going to be the best thing for him? Is he even going to turn heel, or is it going to be some weird booking shit that we complain about for the next few weeks? Like, they have to follow through with something big, and it'll be very much to see if he can fill that role. But like you said, Joe, he hasn't been building that kind of momentum in recent months to lead to a win this big. So
yeah, and I hope they have something planned for him at the two big shows coming up,
they have to.
Like, because Punk's obviously going to have big matches. I think he's going to main event the Chicago pay-per-view. He's probably going to work with Joe, or maybe Jay White. Maybe he works for Ricky. I doubt it personally at Wembley, but you just hope there's something planned for Ricky, because if not, it's kind of like right? Like that's kind of the point of this game. We'll see.
We'll see what happens. Ibu, I know you was not the biggest fan of Punk taking a loss this early on. Hold on, we got a private chat.
Oh no, I was getting texted. I was getting texted things from
That's so
people.
nasty, bro.
I got texted it, so I wanted to post it there so I could look back and read it after I was fucking done, whatever.
Yeah, man.
It was literally just copy and pasted. But anyway,
All right.
yeah. Anyway, yeah, I wasn't happy that Punk lost. I got spoiled on this, which wasn't fun. People decided to just tap dance on my grave while I was at work. I opened Twitter and like everybody's fucking quoting a tweet I made like early in the day, and they're just kind of like taking victory laps about Punk losing, and I was just kind of like, okay. And then I also got worried because I found out from Twitter, and then like I was told the match was like awful. And so I went home like in a really bad mood. I was like, no, Punk lost and the match sucked. And I watched it and it didn't suck. But I still wasn't happy with Ricky winning because of the reasons Joe mentioned. I mean, look, at the end of the day, the opening promo on week 1 made it seem like he was a long-term destination for like an MJF or a Jay White. And I feel like they're the types of people that you would want to see pin Punk because they seem like primed and ready right now. Whereas whatever they're planning to do with Ricky Starks still feels like a project in terms of like fully figuring out what they want him to be long term. And so because he's not a finished product, or at least not where they want him exactly to be, that's not what I don't think that's the type of person that should be beating Punk, but that's just my opinion. It is what it is. I mean, you know, I don't think it's in like hurt business or like the business of Phil Brooks. And that's why he was comfortable in beating in Ricky Starks beating him, obviously. But that's just kind of where I stand with the whole thing.
Hopefully it works out, right? I think we both agree with that. Like we're both in that sort of position, right? It'd be like we're both fans. Hopefully it works out. I don't think that was the performance he was looking for necessarily, but
It also
hopefully
did
it was
feel
worthwhile.
very it did feel like, you know, look, I can take a pin, you know. Like,
Oh, absolutely was.
You
Yeah.
know?
That's unfortunate. I mean, that's
You
an
know,
awful lot of the game, you know.
Bro, we were talking about it. I don't know if it was last year or earlier on this year when Thunder Rosa first went out and Britt Baker decided to take. Well, she's still taking them, you know, taking all these pins and you know,
Jericho
crushing
did it too
narratives.
recently.
You know, Jericho. So people do these things, man.
It's
So
the new reverse politicking to kind of like puff your chest out and be like, I can
for the boys,
To be fair, even beyond
pin,
that,
brother. You know, like,
even beyond that, we have to be fair. I mean, Collision's roster is such they do need to elevate some guys because they have a
Absolutely, yeah.
very small squad and they have even smaller kind of group of top guys. So it's like you do have to do it. I just think the choice is the question is did they make the right choice?
timing.
In reality, we'll find out. You know, weeks and months down the line. We'll see.
Yeah, well, you know me. I say it all the time, especially to you two, Ibu and Joe. Like it's all about timing. You know.
Yeah.
Everything's about timing. It's like, yeah, maybe one day you can put Ricky over Punk and you get no complaints from anyone. But this weekend, it definitely doesn't seem like that was the time, you know, judging from the reaction. But we'll see. Like
Why
we said,
couldn't-
how the
So, like,
through.
especially comparing it to like the performances of other people on that very same show, like Jay White. You know what I mean? Like he looked maybe the best I have ever seen him in his entire career. Yes,
He's unbelievable.
His entire career. He almost turned me into Monty during that match. The way Monty looks at Jay, I was like, yo, this guy is him. Like, this
Cream of the crop, bro.
He's
the real man.
him.
Cream of the crop.
All I'm saying is why couldn't Cody put him over and not CM? Or it had to be CM Punk.
Oh my god.
Deep cuts, you know. Alright, more super chats. Willie 499, appreciate you. Shout out my dog David Benoit. A man who enjoys the graps exactly like Joe, but reacting to absolutely nothing, sitting on camera in the front row. I mean, you know, David Benoit, he was just kind of sitting there, you know, just, you know,
Not impressed.
enjoying the graps. I think he was very, you know, I see the comparisons, Willie, as you know.
He's just sitting back watching the graphs.
Yeah, man, he was seemed like he was having a good time.
Yeah, that's what I did.
And he's been jumping up and down. And
I'd have leaned over at one point and said that was a hell of a chop. You know, well, wow, great transition. You know, those kind of things I'd say.
Break out your little notepad, start writing in it.
I
don't know if I go that far, but yeah.
during the FTR match, I was the exact opposite of sitting back and watching the graphs. I was like, I was head bobbing, on my eyes are popping out during certain moves. I'm like, oh my god.
I actually was like the first FTR, just because I watched them differently. The first FTR Bullet Club Gold match, I actually was a bit of an animal. I was like leaping up and down and stuff. It was very unwholesome, I must say.
They just get you, man. They just get you. It happens.
Especially hearing what Dave said today about the match, where they just called in the ring mostly, and I said, "Oh, fuck,
that's when the real they did the dance, bro. They did the dance.
Yeah, I
you
should.
know,
Listen,
they did it.
collisionism is calling it in the ring, brother. We don't call it in the back. You know,
Absolutely.
We go in the ring.
Let's dive into this very interesting super chat from Winston Churchill with the big $20. Appreciate you, I guess. Joseph, my son, I know you're filled with sorrow with our dear hero destined for backstage irrelevance, but you must remember success is stumbling from failure to failure with no loss of enthusiasm. Never, never, never give up.
All right, I will say, if nothing else, that Aldis line was pretty well executed, and it was a substantial super chat. So, as I always say, if you're going to do it right. Good job.
Yeah, man, you got a pop from the hall, but appreciate it, of course. Let's talk about Nick Aldis, because it's there's been a lot of talk about it. When I was doing the tweet, like,
can we get Winston Churchill off the screen,
all right,
please?
let's get him off. There we go. Appreciate the $20 again, Winston Churchill. But yeah, man, Nick Aldis. There was a report earlier from PW Insider Elite that was basically WWE have high interest in Nick Aldis, and there's also been a lot of internal talk about him being a producer, and also there was also some talk going around today internally that he could be getting a trial for being a producer as early as next month. So of course, when I was doing the tweet, when I first seen the PW Insider report, it was kind of like, I wasn't expecting it to kind of cause as much debate as it did, So we're bringing it to the podcast, going to talk about it a bit. Nick Aldis. It doesn't say whether it's like he's just going to be a producer or if he's just going to be a wrestler or what the actual ins and outs are going to be, but it's definitely would be interesting if they did just sign him just to be a producer. I think he's got a little bit more to add than that. I don't think he's going to be he should or will be a world champion in like a WWE or AEW, but I definitely think he has something to offer. And a lot of people have kind of said the same, and he's like I said, Joe, he's got a lot to offer. I know you're a fan.
I am. I'm actually going to drop the kind of gimmick that we do around here, or I do around here, I should say, about Nick Aldis. We have a lot of fun with it, and I was like constantly, posturing about this big AEW run he was going to have, and it was fun. But to be fair to him as a talent, we'll just be sincere here for only this segment, and then I'll return to doing my usual whole shit. I absolutely think he can be on one of the Big Two's TV shows. To your point, he should not be the world champion. And he would be a role player, a supporting act, certainly. But I do think the idea of him being brought in as a producer is kind of nuts, considering some of the people that I see on these shows every week. Just to be totally honest about it. I don't think he's, let's break it down here, okay?
Let's do it.
I think the believers of Nick Aldis overrate his promos, but he is a decent talker.
Yes.
I think it's overstated by people who think he's the super fucking Ric Flair.
Yeah, but he's more than comfortable at the same time.
He's a decent talker.
Yes.
In ring, I think it's the other way around, where the Nick Aldis detractors overstate how bad he is, because I think he's totally fine in ring. I think he's totally dynamic. Solid. But yeah, and he's one of those guys who's smart enough to have very, he's a decent pro wrestler inside the ropes. I'm not going to overstate it. Like the match he had on Saturday with Shelley is a great example of where, he's not a buffoon. He's not going to let a guy work his leg for 10 minutes and throw it away like some other people have in recent memory. Instead, he had a nice match. Had a nice match, and I think it's.
I don't even know who that was a shot at for.
Don't worry. So like I think it's one of those cases where there's all these like strong opinions, but my actual take, to be sincere, is I think he's a nice wrestler. He can talk a little bit. He has fine matches, and he has a good look. And to his credit, he takes himself seriously, which I do think there is a I think there's an importance to that we lose in this bubble. Like, people are going to laugh at the thing about, he wears the suits and he carries the belt a certain way. But if you don't take yourself seriously, how can I? Right?
Yes.
And I think there's a place for that on TV. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
all bits aside, I think it'd be kind of nuts if he lands as a producer, considering some of the guys that I watch on television every single week. But that's just me. That's just
100%.
one bloke's opinion.
Yeah, man. Let's talk about like a ceiling, because I spoke to a couple of you about this today, and I think, he could be a United States champion, and he would walk around in his suits, and as many would say, he would carry the belt like Ric Flair, and we'd get some decent TV out of it, and who knows, could do a little program with Cody Rhodes, We could do some stuff with him, man. Like I said, you can do some stuff with him. I don't think he should be beating Cody Rhodes or anything, but US champ. I think he could do it.
Monty, I talked myself into this earlier today. I just thought about it, and I just talked myself into it. Heel Nick Aldis, mid-card world champion with William Regal as a TV act. Him and Regal on television. Just doing Regal and all these things. Talking about the prestige of the sport and the championship,
No, man. I think if you're going to bring Regal back to television, you got to make it really mean something.
Also, I am somewhat...
And that would be this. It's like, okay, we'll make a concerted effort to get the guy over if he's someone you choose to want to do that with.
I don't think he needs it.
There's no real polite way of asking this. I'm just going to say, it feels like William Regal may think Nick Aldis sucks, right? Like, he's pretty, he's very particular,
Regal is particular. I don't know I actually don't know. Well, you know what okay, I can tell you guys everything I know about the situation. There are people backstage that think he's a very good worker. There's one specific person who doesn't fuck with him, and that is Bruce Pritchard.
Yeah.
Bruce is not a fan of Nick Aldis, personally or professionally. What else can I say? They wanted to bring him in January. There were conversations. I believe I think the interest in him was coinciding with like a lot of the Vince McMahon takeover stuff, which then was followed by I'm selling the company once I get back onto the board stuff. And that made stuff weird. And then, as you guys all know, and it's been pretty documented at this point, there's a hiring freeze. And I think he was one of the victims of that. That's why he signed an Impact contract. And I can tell you guys right now that today I quote tweeted Monty and said that his short deal that he signed was likely him giving himself busy work, to wait out the hiring freeze. And then someone from WWE immediately confirmed this to me. So, yeah, I can tell you that. So that tells you that. Regarding the case of him, being a producer, PW Insider is on point, so I'm sure that like whoever they spoke to, these discussions did happen, and I can tell you that from the people that I spoke to, that they said they relayed the same thing to me, right? But the person I spoke to also did say like it's not like a set in stone, like he's only doing this type of thing. Like there have been conversations about him in a wrestling capacity. His ceiling to me, look, I think he is a solid worker. The bigger problem in Triple H's WWE is not like his ability. It's really just like it's hard to get over. You have to be in very particular situations. And Monty, you could speak to this. You watch the TV. You got to be paired with the right guy. You got to be feuding with the right guy. You have to have the right act. The right gimmick. And that's really the question. It's not like how good is his work going to be at all. Look at LA Knight.
That's it. Yeah, that's the big one.
It really he's more than competent to work in WWE from a wrestling standpoint. It's just, could he get over? And could he attack Cody one week and then give him a 1-month program where he's over enough to fight Cody Rhodes? In that setting, yes, but once Cody's done with him, then what?
Right.
And so that's the question.
It's like, I don't think he's as kind of dynamic a personality as LA Knight, but we have to be completely real. Those guys have been in similar circles in terms of their promotions and their careers. And if you'd have predicted LA Knight's success in WWE, people would have laughed at you, And it's like, I do think is what sometimes with these situations, it's like, I think people can be very dismissive, but look at LA Knight. Right? That's an interesting case to look like to kind of study for a moment. Like in TNA, they had very similar. They both were world champions in TNA, right? Nick and LA Knight were. LA Knight, when the promotion had fallen some, and in the NWA, they were both upper players, but obviously Nick was the centerpiece there. And it's like no one could have. I can promise you, and I say this as someone who enjoyed Eli Drake. No one was suggesting that he was going to get the pop he's been getting as of late ever, let alone every single week on WWE SmackDown, the A show at this point.
It's not fading, man. It's not fading.
It's hard to forecast these things.
Monty, did you see LA Knight's promo this Friday? Like,
I see him all.
He walked out there, and I was like, "My God!" Like, this is the crowd.
They love him, bro. It's not fading. If anything, it's picking up more steam, and it becomes. And this is how people get more and more over, because it's like it becomes a thing that everyone pops for LA Knight and loves LA Knight, and then the next city does it, and then the next city, and then the next city, and it's just it's just.
I gotta say, LA
got the
Knight,
momentum train behind him at the minute.
This is gonna sound hilarious, but like, let him be a lesson in life for everybody, because.
You're
like,
right.
honestly,
You're actually right. Yeah.
You gotta like fake it till you make it. He walked in there, and he walked like he was this fucking big shot. You know, he carried himself like he fucking mattered, like he was some big deal, when he was literally just a jack off who was gonna get thrown at Bray Wyatt for a month. And he treated it like, motherfucker, I'm the Rock, nigga. And it's like, what? But like the way he carried himself, the shades, and he's all brolic, and his outfits, and the way he's talking on the promos and stuff like that, like he kept acting like a big shot until the fans started to see him as one. And then the company started to. This last week's promo, Joe, I don't know if you saw it. He literally said, "I'm the greatest thing to happen to WWE." And I was like, that's so hyperbolically untrue. But the level of confidence to proclaim this and then the fans back you, I mean, it has to be eye-opening for everyone involved. You know, and again, like that's what I say, like let that be a lesson in life. You fake it till you make it, you act like you're somebody, and then you will be somebody.
He's a hell of a story, man. He really is. Credit to him.
I'm not a big Aldis guy, but
shocked.
But I mean, he does carry himself as a world champion. He carries himself like he's like a big deal and all that. And just to reduce him to being like a producer kind of sucks for everything that he's done. And the work that he's been doing on the indie. So I hope if he does go to WWE, he's not just a producer and he gets a chance to be in the ring and all that. So, and if he's in AEW, his ceiling is he's not a champ or whatever, but I think if you have good solid programs with people.
Would you be happy with him on your beloved Collision, Manny?
I was gonna say, man, I don't know, man.
Hey man, they turn around. They turn me around on a lot of people. I mean, except Ricky. But I mean, if he's on there, if him and Punk have like a face to face, and fuck, I don't know, man. Maybe it might turn me around. But, oh man,
I'm interested now.
Joe,
whose Collision turned you around on? I'm now intrigued by this list. Who is on this list?
Juice, and then just Juice.
So unique.
No, and House of Black.
What about the Guns?
Oh yeah, and the Guns too. I think the Guns are real top players.
Listen, man, you know. Listen, man, cool. You know, just picture Nick Aldis, man, just doing side headlock takeovers with Dax Harwood and Jim Ross being like,
"Hey, bro, that's the first guy I thought of. He could wrestle.
I gotta say that kid Nick Aldis might be the future of the business. You know, 6'2". He played lacrosse in high school. He man, he has a great arm. And my God, what you know, like just.
Hey, look, Collision might do something. Aldis, look what it did to Samoa Joe. Turn him into an animal. He's over there having awesome matches.
That was one of the most insane things you've ever said on the show. And think of the
you know what I've come to realize, though, guys, talking about all this? I'd rather a guy overvalue himself to the max, be hyperbolic, and carry himself the way that a Nick Aldis and LA Knight do, than the other thing, which is the new guy coming onto the TV show that's like bright-eyed and so shocked to be there and so happy to be there, and like it's like he's like so even like astonished to even be in the setting, and it's like WWE has always been my dream, and I grew up watching Eddie Guerrero, and I just wanted to, oh my God, like NXT, wow, or the fucking indie jack off that makes it onto Dynamite, and he's going 50-50 with the Star, and then he gets a kick out, and then he makes that shock face like, I'm close to beating Chris Jericho.
Crazy,
oh my God,
spiteful.
I'm a
Crazy
wrestler.
spiteful.
Holy shit! Yes, you're a fucking wrestler. If you're on my TV, you should be good. Fucking act like you're good. Why
Or
can't
even
you
Eddie's-
act like
the
you're
other
I think Eddie's-
extreme as well, where you've got guys like
Eddie's handled it the best though.
they're just. I'd rather have a wrestler be like crazy delusional with like overrating
Exactly.
themselves and
Yes.
being just kind of overconfident, whatever you call it, confident or delusion, whatever you want to call it. I'd rather that than those guys who are just kind of like spiteful because I deserve to be pushed and the game's against me, man.
To be fair, that was very spiteful. That was very, very spiteful.
No, here's the thing. It's just a general thing. That sounded very specific and targeted, but
Yes, it did.
it is a general thing. But to your point, Monty, look, man, that hyped up Alex Coughlin promo on the G1 press conference, I fucking hated that shit. I thought that promo sucked, and I'm somebody.
Really?
Yeah, I thought it fucking sucked, and I love Alex Coughlin. I think the War Dogs are awesome, and I'm rooting for them in this entire tournament. But why am I supposed to be so excited? Mind you, I just want to say real quick, the things that he was talking about, I've on a personal, real life level, I sympathize with his grievances, right? And I still thought it fucking sucked. Why am I supposed to sit here and be moved by you walking to a podium being like, this company, I asked for a shirt. They didn't give me the shirt. I wanted to give it to my mom. They said no. I asked for this. They said no. They wouldn't let me in the G1, and then they put me in the G1 when these guys were removed.
To be fair, though, I understand what you're saying generally, but it works for that specific purpose because the War Dogs are like guys who have turned their back on New Japan's system.
Yes.
So it does. I thought it worked for that. Like I do get. Generally, I agree with your take, but in this case, I thought it worked because the point being, like, we did it the right way, and look what you gave us. We're going to take it for ourselves, basically.
So narratively, the direction is very clear, and I agree with you. It's why Gabe Kidd cut the same promo in a completely different way. To me,
Yes.
and this is in a very different way. It's not even the content, because most wrestlers, when they cut a promo, most wrestlers in 2023, their promos are them bitching. Most wrestlers fucking complaining on the mic. That is what a promo is these days when it's not a personal issue. It just is what it is. It's not really a content thing. And like you said, the idea is we were guys who weren't the chosen ones. We were spurned by the company, and we've given more into this than they've given to us. And yet we're still going to come in here and take it from this company and take it by the balls and beat the shit out of everyone in this G1. That's a great premise. There's nothing wrong with the premise. That's why I'm behind the War Dogs, right? The thing is, he walked out there, and from his delivery, it literally looked like a guy with a lot. It's like a guy at a parent-teacher council, right? Who got his turn to speak on the podium, and he's in front of the school staff, and he just has a laundry list of things that he thinks are wrong with the school board. He's like, I just think that you guys are teaching things in the social studies class that I don't believe my son should be learning. I think that you guys should be focusing more on math. I don't believe in this critical race theory that you guys are talking about. I think that was the delivery. And I was just sitting there, and I'm like, why is this promo being lauded? How is this one of the best promos of the year? Where is like it's just a guy with a laundry list of complaints that he's going through in like this really just one tone way. And so for me, it just didn't connect in that fashion. And I don't even know how I got on this topic.
We need more crazy guys. So pretty much what you're saying is we need crazy guys like.
Yes, we do.
Match Fan 84, $5. Appreciate it. Benoit's son in wrestling intrigues me. The son trying to overcome his father's horrible legacy is extremely compelling. Well, here's the thing, bro. Wrestling isn't Hollywood, and it's just it don't work like that,
Unless you watch the Bloodline.
Hey, But I don't think this is I don't think this is something that we can expect to see, even attempted anytime soon. To be honest, he did have aspirations in wrestling. I don't know if he still does, but
Well, I was gonna say real quick about the other topic was we just need more of those cannons like Gabriel Kidd, man. He's fucking truth.
Man, he's out of his mind.
Darren Walker, £5. I hope Bailey gets better soon. She's one of my favourite female wrestlers. Yeah, man, Bailey's a legend. Obviously, hoping she does. Hopefully, she isn't too badly hurt / recovers as soon as possible. because the video from the live event, it did look like quite an awkward one for her knee. But yeah, man, like I said, hopefully she's back soon. Hopefully it's not too bad. Damage control, man. They've just two of them are out now. Io's going around with the suit. Obviously, she's got the briefcase. I assume Bailey will probably still be on TV for that, because having Io kind of running around with the briefcase by herself, it would be I don't know. Maybe it could work. I don't know if I'd. I don't know. Where you at with this all? But with Bailey being out, Dakota Kai is out. Io's the only one who's seemingly fit. But she's got the briefcase right now, so.
Well, if Bailey's like out, like actually out, then I think you probably just. I guess you just have her cash in a fashion eventually where she flips her babyface, right? I guess. Because the only thing that keeps her heel is the alignment with Bailey, unless I'm mistaken.
People like it, yeah. People like it, man. We was there for the pop. She got Money in the Bank, so
we were. Do we know what is there any update with Bailey? Because I saw the news, but I didn't see any update.
I think she's due to have a scan at some point.
They're waiting for the swelling to go down before they scan her, but it was seen as a positive sign that she could walk out of the venue on her own with no crutches.
Okay. Well, hope for the best.
I mean, I appreciate this $5, but I'm not reading this smut. Ibu, if you want to read it, that's completely your choice. But
Paul Pierce, $4.99. Ibu, seen the hangy fashion page, and I'm loving what I saw. We need the OnlyFans next, my brother. I'm tired of getting just a taste. I want the whole load.
Why did you have to say it so slow, bro? Like, what the fuck? I wish I never even give you the option to read that.
Aaron Walker, 5 pounds. Let me wash that out. Can't wait for Nick. I can't leave that. That can't be the last one. Can't wait for Nick Aldis chat. We need him in Collision. Imagine him and Mickey walk out there.
Oh, yeah, man, you got your Nick Aldis chat, absolutely.
Hold on.
Me and Joe would pop like Hogan fans in the 80s.
Well, Hogan fans is anyway. Yeah, agreed.
Definitely a choice. Trust the process 34.999. Appreciate you very much. What do you guys think of the best? What do you guys think of the best 2 out of 3 stipulation in general? Rarely ever do we get a winner in 2 falls, and so that second fall always ends up losing tension. The Briscoe's done a couple sweeps.
Yeah,
I think the best 2 out of 3 fall. I think the best 2 out of 3 falls is better than the Iron Man match.
Oh, yeah, I agree completely.
Yeah, same.
I think, I don't know if this is a hot take or not. I like the 2 out of 3 false dip on TV better than I do on like pay-per-view. I think it works in the TV format. Yeah. To be honest.
Nice way to use 30 or 30 or 60 minutes.
Yeah, I like it.
It also just generally going long on TV. There's like a charm to that because the people feel like they're getting more than they bargained for. There's like a. Last week when they went half an hour, there was like this electricity, like, oh my God, they're doing this on TV. And there's something to that also. This is a potential hot take. I don't know where everyone stands on this, but I've seen a lot of people say their least favorite fall was the second fall in the match on Saturday. And
fall itself or the lead up to the fall?
That entire block. Like that, if you cut into 3 matches,
okay.
And this is kind of fascinating. There's no right or wrong, but that was my favorite because that has the part where they try to pin Jay White, and they just cannot do it, and they didn't do shocked face. Cash was just like, "What are we gonna do, man?" Obviously, wrestling logic, they could just hit their finisher, but
Joe, I heard a similar complaint, and to me, I thought every fall was a 10 out of 10 for what it was going for, to be completely frank with you. I was engaged the entire way through. This idea that they really went down in that second fall, but they brought it back up in the third. I'm like, what are you talking about?
I saw everybody complaining about the first fall, thinking it was slow, and I thought they were going. I thought it was a fast-paced first fall. I don't really see what the complaint about it being slow-paced.
The first fall is like a classical tag match. I'd say the issue with the second fall, if I was to be very nitpicky, which I do a lot around here, is I do think it was a little bit jarring the way they just restarted completely. You know what I'm saying? They just kind of went back to 0 for the second fall. That's the one thing I would say about that. But when the second fall gets to Dax's hot tag, to me, that's where the match levels up. You know, you get the power and glory spot and all that came with that. I mean, I don't know. I loved all of it also, but the second four is my favorite personally. So
Yeah,
we get?
well, we like the stick.
Yeah.
Seth Rich Rogan, $10. He says, on rewatch, Bullet Club Gold versus FTR is at 4.5 stars for me, but has an all-timer 25-minute match that trades time for brutality contained in it. Maybe Falls Count Anywhere or the first, I think, tag Lights Out match. Don't think it'll be the first.
I think they're 2-2 right now, right? So I mean,
I thought the match
you can
achieved the level of intenseness, physicality, hatred, anger, fighting spirit that like you almost don't even need plunder for, so to speak. I've seen Matt like I'm watching that match, right? And the way Dax and Jay are going back and forth as the match escalates towards the later portions of it, like it felt like violent, it felt grueling, it felt heated, it felt contested, right? And I got all these things that you almost don't need a table bump for or a kendo stick. And I'm not saying I wouldn't be opposed to a plunder rematch, and they'd make that great too. I mean, look at the stuff they did with the Briscoes, right? But I feel like people usually suggest these tips to make it feel more heated or more violent, and I got all those things from them having a straight wrestling match. And that's also part of the reason why I found their match admirable, because they could escalate it and make it feel that way without anything. Like there was barely even high spots in general. I mean, besides some crazy sick bumps in the last fall, but yeah.
There's not many better like escalating matches like that.
No,
like when they go long, it's
agree.
just
like you know, for the sake of star rating transparency, I know it gets very heated around here. I get 4 3/4, and I agree like with the sentiment. I did that exclusively for Manny's reaction, by the way, exclusively.
Fuck.
It worked. I absolutely agree with like that match could be shorter. I think you can trim any 58-minute match. You can absolutely trim that. Like it's inevitable when you go that long. But it depends how you look at it, because in the same time, the fact that match went as quickly for me as it did, I find it very hard to critique the runtime personally. Now, if you didn't have the same experience, it's different, right? But like, when I rewatch it, I see parts where like they extend probably a beat beyond what they need to. But at the same time, when I watched that thing the first go round, and I knew they were going long, I looked at the clock, and they were 40 minutes deep, and it felt like they were just getting rolling, you know? So it was magnificent. As for the stipulation, give me a cage match, please.
All I'm gonna say is like, man, these guys are FTR's gonna be on a hell of a run, because right after this they're gonna wrestle MJF and Adam Cole, and I think that match is gonna be awesome too. So
yeah, that's the thing with FTR on Collision, man. Like it's like they're allowing FTR to like be FTR, like kind of just like in the most full form possible, you know. Like they just went literally 1 hour, you know. So
they're at home on that show, man. They fit. Yeah. They just fit on that show, you know.
It's remarkable, and it's so perfect and tailored towards them getting the most out of them. It's like, Joe, you might get this reference. It's like the Mike D'Antoni system for James Harden a couple years ago in the Houston Rockets, where that guy averaged like 36 points per game, and it was like the system is just give him the ball and let him just hold the ball and do whatever he wants with it all the time. And for FTR, I mean, it's set up in such a way where like they might in just the final half of the year speedrun their way to being tag team of the year again. Which when I floated this out,
possible.
When I floated this out, people laughed at it. But bro, think about it. Think about what they did in like 2 weeks. Just these 2 weeks, right? Just imagine this for 6 more months. You know, I mean, obviously there's going to be some ebbs and flows.
You know, we're at the midpoint of the year. Aussie Open had a really good start to the year, but of course Mark Davis has been out, and you know, so that's their case basically. They had a few good. What are their highlight matches? Would you say? When they won the belts?
Yeah, they had the match for the Bucks. They had the match on Ring of Honor TV with Daniels and Seidel. That was very, very good. There was others I'm forgetting.
The FTR match, right? Was this year?
No, it was last year.
Last year. Okay, so you've got the Usos.
The Usos' case is probably going to fall apart in the second half of the year, right? Because they're probably going to be doing less like.
Well, Jimmy's out for the foreseeable future, so you know they're in the Aussie Open position, but they just managed to get more deeper into 2023. But they absolutely had a great start to 2023 with, of course, you know, the involvement in the Bloodline story, of course, that's been like the ongoing thread. But you know, the match with Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. You know, like I was talking with Phil on Twitter earlier, so that's genuinely. I can't definitively say that there's a better main event in WrestleMania history than that tag match. I thought it was incredible. Of course, the match with Roman and Solo, and all the matches that they've had, like they went on a great tag run leading up to Mania. You know, when they were really establishing themselves as like unbeatable. You know, and yeah, they've been great. Of course, who else have we got? Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, of course.
Those are my tag
Stink
teams.
Erico.
Yeah. Did he say Stink Erico?
Yes, he did.
Did he do his little bit with the shitty name?
Yeah, Manny hating Kevin Owens is just like it's sad, you know. It gets me down.
They're gonna have a 3 3/4 tonight with old Diamond Priest. You know, that's just what these boys.
They've been awesome though, man. Just like consistently, like every Raw, it feels like they have like 3.5 to 3 3 3/4, maybe a 4 if it's the right dance part.
If it's Imperium, it's a 4. You know, if it's
Yeah, man. The thing right then, of course, the tag match that I just used for the Usos case, it's like that with the other half of it. You know, I thought the match in Saudi against Roman and Solo as well.
That was even better than the Money in the Bank match, in my opinion.
So
it might have been, but I have a bias towards it because I was there, brother. You know, Roman getting pinned for the first time in 3.5 years.
Monty and I were in gorilla position. I do think there's concern about so they're going to wrestle Max and Cole. They're going to wrestle Aussie Open at some point. Beyond that, I do not necessarily know as to the big matches awaiting FTR.
You need to wrestle the fucking Bucks, man. Like, let's do it.
That should be at Wembley, really.
If Aussie Open can't make Wembley, and even if they can, fuck it, bro. Give it to me. You know, I'm ready for it, bro. I'm ready for it.
That match in a stadium would steal the fucking show, bro.
There are matches that I feel like should be happening at the stadium show that are likely not going to, and it's just really unfortunate, you know.
Stadium business nowadays. Bucks versus FTR 3.
AEW's not going to sell out a stadium like that.
You know,
you're not going to sell out a stadium like that every day. You know, you only get that opportunity very, very seldom.
Yeah, man, it's special, and it's like they're the two teams of the generation. Let's be honest about it. You know?
Absolutely.
They're at like what they've just gone past. Is it 70 or 75? They've just gone past.
Yeah. Like, to be clear as to what we're saying here, the house isn't our concern. I know you know this, Monty, but we're saying, like, for this setting, you want to give it the matches that most suit a setting of that magnitude.
No, I also think as well, like, bro, if they're at 75 now, and like, you know, if you really stretch Wembley, like you can do like 90, you know, ish, 90, like, you know, you can get into like the mid 90s. I assume because you know it's been done for other events and stuff. You know, if you slap fucking Kenny Omega versus CM Punk and the Bucks versus FTR on that card, I think you can shift another like 15, 20k tickets.
The thing is I agree completely, but at least with the Kenny Punk thing, we understand what the situation is there. But by all accounts, there isn't like a barrier like that in between. FTR and Bucks. You know
recent reports have said that like that even the barrier that was seemingly there is completely like, it's just not there now completely, and they're on the same page.
I totally get that Ibu is not into the Bucks as baby faces, and I do agree they're better as heels, but in some ways, that would actually be even better for the stadium because the crowd would legitimately just be which team do you prefer, you know, and it would be like this incredible atmosphere, man, because there are going to be people at Wembley that are there to see the Elite, and rightly so, and there are going to be sickos there singing or trying to sing. It's the best word I can use to describe it, the FTR theme, and doing the, you know, with Bret Hart cosplay gear on and such. So it could be incredible, but I don't think we're going to get it, so we'll leave that there.
Oh yeah, man. So basically, what we're trying to say is that FTR can absolutely build the case tag team of the year in 2023.
I'm still waiting for the Claudio Yuta match.
I'm waiting for Claudio to have a lot of different singles matches at the minute. Darren Cage, $5. Taking pride in calling it in the ring can be dangerous. Not every match and every wrestler should be doing it. Like Ricky looked lost out there.
I mean, he's a bad wrestler.
That's a bit spiteful, but you know, FTR absolutely like to the first part of the super chat. You know, only like you say, only certain people can kind of call it in the ring to like that level because you know that has been the talk about the FTR Bullet Club Gold match that they did go out there and just basically call the majority of it. You know, I'm sure they have like certain spots. You know, like the finish or whatever. I don't know. Maybe.
How does that even like? Can you imagine, like, genuinely? I'm sorry I get this deep in the weeds, but like, can you imagine the anxiety of not only going out to have a 58-minute match, but being like, yeah, man, like, here's our 3 finishes, but I guess the rest of it will just fucking feel it, you know? Like, what?
But
I'll just keep yelling. I'll just keep repeating clothesline.
The thing is,
I'll just keep yelling clothesline.
That's
So,
No, but that's
what
the
makes this.
magic.
Yeah.
No, I agree. I don't mean it as a criticism. I mean, like, that's insane to even fathom. You know, the idea.
No,
Then
but-
again, in the same way, I guess remembering a 58 match like spot for spot, that'd probably be
Yeah,
worse.
it's like that. It's like that Terry Funk quote that you've mentioned before from his book. And it's like, they go out there, they feel the crowd, and let the crowd kind of dictate what they're doing, and they just fucking do the dance, bro. And certain professionals like FDR can kind of feel comfortable in just being able to go and do that and know that they're gonna kill it. So
I hope it never
definitely
truly
levels to it.
fades. I hope it's always. I hope some guys are always doing it forever. I don't know if that would be the case because like there was definitely a while where it was very, very much out of. It was not a thing we were seeing very often. It doesn't bother me like to the level of like, oh, that guy just called something that makes the match better. Obviously not. But there is a certain there's something romantic about that kind of tradition, right? It's pretty cool.
100%. Trust the process. 34 $4.99. If WWE promised Cody he'll beat Roman for the strap at Mania 40, but Rock tells him he's ready for 40, what does WWE do, and how you think Cody will take it?
They would
put it on the Rock.
They would move Cody versus Roman up to a different show before the Rock's match with Roman Reigns.
That's what I'd assume as well.
So
but I think I'm just assuming that because I think that would be like the smartest thing to do, and that's not usually how wrestling figures out. Because you have to get the belt on Cody and let him kind of do that run while you've got all this momentum of him being like the new babyface and everything. Because he still has that, I know he's been there for a minute now, but
The Rock and Roman has to be for the title. That's what it has to be.
No, it doesn't.
a match you won't
Yes, it
even
does.
watch, it doesn't. It feels like nearly every week when they do an angle with the Bloodline. As much as I enjoy them, it kind of hammers home even more like how much Roman doesn't really need to be the champion right now. It's like even the angle. I think it was the last, not this Friday just gone because Roman wasn't around, but the weekend before. It was all about the tribal fucking necklace thing. Like that was the thing that Solo picked up and looked at and created a moment with, and it's like. If you need something to fight over, like an actual physical thing, then like they had like the the whole tribal. What's it called, bro?
It's called a lay.
Yeah, the tribal lay, and they're just obviously family drama. It doesn't need a big gold strap all the time, especially when you start the level of those guys.
They're so deep in this bloodline like angle. They feel like their own part of the show to a level that I'm not sure I've ever quite experienced before. And it's fascinating to me what they're going to do for the fall because, I assume he's going to work with Solo, right? I assume he's the next thing
At
they'll do.
some point, they've teased it. Absolutely.
I'm going to be honest with you, Joe. Roman might peace out for the majority of the last quarter of the year.
Well, I can't. I think it's insane, but I can't argue with it in terms of booking because let's be completely real. They're so deep in the saga now that if you just throw, Lashley or AJ at Roman, it's like. No, it's not a knock on them. It's just that what's going to happen there. The only guys you could even talk yourself into 5% are well, they are part of the bloodline story, So, and obviously Cody eventually is where they're headed, but we'll see.
What about Nick Aldis and Roman Reigns?
Hold on.
Got to save that for Wembley.
Manson 84, $2. Rewatch Kento versus Nakajima. No venue touches Korakuen. Let's get into this one now because this is the other match of the Contender I want to talk about. Of course, the FTR match we all loved on here, and this is the other. I would say these are my 1 and 2 for the massive weekend that we just had. So Kenta Nakajima, this wasn't for a title. This was for pride. This was for balls. This was for honor. This was very unrelenting. This was special, man. Nakajima, of course, what he's going to bring to a match. But Kento, even though he's had so many kind of incredible matches this year, he still managed to kind of catch me off guard with just how fired up he can get me as as a baby face, and how he can kind of draw me into these longer matches that he has. He's something special, man. Joe, I know you said he might be the best in the world at the minute. So
Yeah,
that's how
absolutely.
high of a praise we have, and I know you absolutely love this match.
Yeah, this was my match of the weekend. I think I have this second for the year behind Kenny and Osprey 1, and I think this is a special match for a range of reasons. It's a kind of conventional epic in pacing. You know, like they give it that kind of grand feel at the start of the big stare down and the feeling out process, and there's this tension and danger. And Korakuen Hall, to most fans' comment, is a big part of this because Korakuen Hall, there's a certain magic to that intimacy, you know, and the atmosphere is incredible in
Yeah,
that
the way
room,
the
especially
sound
for this
travels.
match.
Like,
Exactly, yeah. And there was just this feeling that any moment it could erupt and someone's going to get knocked out. You know, the first part of the match, they have a slow build, and just for an example, Kento has like a moment's success and turns around and eats a head kick and face plants. It's like, yeah, man, he's in there with Nakajima. This could end at any moment, and that's in reality. You know, Nakajima's bigger matches often go long and sometimes longer than they should. This wasn't a case of that, but he's so violent that you actually feel there's a sense of danger to him. And Kento is insane. And he's like go-to weaponry when in time of trouble is just to launch headbutts at someone. So you have this kind of, you know, I mean, they could have had a straight up shootout and it would have been incredible, but they didn't. They worked those ingredients into an epic, and they made you really wait for the big bombs. You know, you had to really wait for when is it going to explode. And in the bursts it did, it was just breathtaking. There was such a sense of hatred to this match, a sense of like true resentment, and it wasn't theatrical and it wasn't, you know, overly showy. It was just, you could feel it in every single strike thrown. You could feel it. They had this strike exchange at one point, and it's like, Kento shouldn't be wrestling this match, right? Like, why is he standing there just letting Nakajima kick him? And it's like, because that's what this match is all about. It's about personal pride. It isn't about that. You know, it's like just pure stubbornness and defiance keeping him on his feet. So unbelievable match. One of the very best of the year. If you haven't seen it, you need to see it. If you can, get a little context about their backstory, because it's a very cool tale. But even without it, man, I mean, it's a magical match. Tremendous stuff.
absolutely. Ibu, I know you was a very big fan of this one as well.
This match is incredible. The thing about it is these guys have had very brief interactions this year because there's been a couple interpromotional shows and matches. And Kento Miyahara, as I said yesterday, he's the ace of All Japan. And All Japan is, they're not doing great business at the moment, and they're not the biggest company in the world. They're actually significantly smaller than the companies backed by Cyberfight and Bushiroad. And yet, Kento goes in these settings with other companies, and he doesn't look like a big fish in a small pond. He looks like a guy who belongs everywhere he goes to. You know, no matter who he's standing across from, he's just a genuine superstar, in my opinion, in terms of just how he is and how he carries himself. Like Joe said, the backstory is important. I mean, these guys are both trained by Kensuke Sasaki, and it underscores everything. You know, like it was just a battle for pride. And the thing with Nakajima is sometimes he can't get out of his own way when it comes to how he works sometimes, because there's very much a sense of like trying to show up a guy in terms of like I'm tougher than you. And the thing is, Kento isn't going to take that bullshit. And some of it is kayfabe, but some of it isn't, you know, and that's kind of what makes it great, because like he's eating it and he's dishing it back. And it's like just really thrilling to watch because Nakajima kind of tries to drag him into that game, and then he plays it with him, and they both go into deep water with it. It was so beautifully paced, so fucking physical. Nakajima's offense is violent, like it's like really scary.
Yeah.
And it's the type of thing I look for with that. If that's going to be your approach, if that's the type of wrestler you are, I'm the striking guy, right? It has to kind of be like that, to be honest, for it to like have the effect. And I bring that up because like later on, like when we talk about the G1, like Ren Narita is trying to do that, and his offense is nowhere near as impactful. And I think it affects his work. But yeah, man, I mean, Joe put it perfectly, and he put it up. He put it perfectly also in his write-up. I thought this match was tremendous. It was emotional, and just a fucking war, you know, just an absolute fucking war. And Korakuen Hall is an amazing environment for these types of things. I love that setting. So
Yeah, me too.
amazing match.
To your point about the kind of violence in his offense, it isn't just the execution of because obviously his kicks are incredible, right? But it's also that that the intentions behind them that he creates with his facial expressions, that ability to have like this kind of devilish grin as he fires up a kick.
It's pretty
That
scary.
closing punt, that face he put with it. And it has to be said, most wrestlers, if they try to recreate that, would come across like so try hard, like
Yes.
smiling big before you punt a guy's head off.
Absolute
I can
dork.
honestly say,
Definitely.
not once have I watched Nakajima and had that conclusion of like, oh man, he's like he feels like a sicko. I mean that with love, but and also Ben brings up in the chat. I had this in my match card also. They to compliment them even further, they didn't even empty. They have more ahead of them here. If they do a rematch, they only scratch the surface in terms of the actual content of the match, because they built the match more on atmosphere, on feel, on tone. So in terms of the big combinations and exchanges, they got a whole lot still left in the tank. So I hope we get a rematch at some point.
Yeah, definitely. And like you said, kind of like that overarching feeling throughout the match of kind of like there's always chance of like a sudden eruption. And to touch on like Nakajima's strikes even more, it's like I feel like the quickness of his strikes, like he has like a genuine like he can really throw some hands, bro.
Oh my God, Monty!
He has a sudden snap to his hand strikes,
Yeah.
So.
Monty, you know how like in wrestling sometimes when there's a sequence where a guy has to duck under a move, the move isn't really thrown with enough intent to like look like he was actually trying to connect with it, right?
Yeah.
He's swinging these kicks, right?
Yeah, if you don't duck, you're done.
Yeah, Miharu's ducking and like he's shoot ducking, like it's like Nakajima's swinging it like whether I connect or not, like that's my full force kick. You know what I mean? And you could see it like just how swift it is. It's like, oh my God,
Yeah, and that then when you're telling a story like this, that makes Kento seem even more like insane because he's like just standing there, like, well, come on, then, we need to settle this. It's man, what an incredible match, just beautiful.
And Manny, unfortunately, did not get to see this just yet. So he'll update us on Wednesday or Thursday.
I don't know if I finished this point. What I wanted to say earlier was that like their interactions and tags earlier this year were so spirited that like you knew when they finally got to get the singles match it was going to be fucking phenomenal, and it delivered even better than like I could have even anticipated. So
there you go. Fucking hell, man. Darren Walker, £5. I agree with John and Nick Aldis. Also, I like having a bit of fun, but do think Aldis is good at promos and a good wrestler. Yeah, man. Appreciate the £5, Darren Walker, as always. And another one. Darren Walker, £5. With no matches booked for Collision this weekend, would you have MJF versus Dax this weekend, or would you do an angle instead, tag title match a week later?
I would assume that Dax and Cash are going to have the weekend off. I love the match. I hope we see it, but I would just, I would probably let's at least say, I think Dax is probably going to have the weekend off. Cash Cash is so graceful. He seems to be able to navigate these wars more. Dax, I was worried about him about 15 different times during that match, and I was watching it on delay. I knew he made it out okay, but I don't know. We'll see. Interesting question. The collision thing is interesting.
Especially with Dax as well. So there was points in 2022 where he's like, yeah, he's gonna have a week off this week, and he didn't.
Well,
so when Dax
probably right. Yeah,
when Dax is flowing, bro. He's flowing, mate. He's on one. Darren KG, $5. Appreciate you. Random, but we're 6 weeks away from Wembley. It's clear Omega versus Punk or Young Bucks versus FTR aren't happening. Will this be an all-time mistake not doing these matches? I don't think it'll be an all-time mistake because the tickets are sold pretty much.
I think it depends on what those guys do, like in place of that, right? So like if they do Punk and Joe, while it won't be as good a match, there is a certain appeal to that at Wembley, right? That's a really cool thing to pull
100% stadium business.
Kenny Omega wrestles Takeshita. Is it as big a match? No, but my God, what an incredible match that is going to be in a stadium, particularly. But in any setting, that match is going to be extraordinary. FTR and the Bucks are the one, and this is why we kind of focused on it more earlier. They have much less obvious dance partners, if not each other, than the two singles guys do. Aussie Open FTR 2, I think, makes a lot of sense. I don't know who the Bucks going to work at Wembley if they're not wrestling for the tag team titles, and that's kind of once we know that, it'll be easier to assess.
Mm-hmm.
Kayfabe.
Yeah, man. Okay, all right, let's move to. Well, first things first. Appreciate all the super chats. Please keep them coming. Massively appreciated as always. I just want to talk about Owen Hart tournament, man. Obviously, we spoke about Ricky Hart.
Ricky Hart.
Ricky
New name, bro.
Starks.
Oh my god!
Ricky.
Oh my god! Look at the hooper.
No. You know what Ricky Hart would have been?
Good man.
Ricky Hart would have been.
Yeah, I had to lay down to charge my phone.
Okay.
Ricky Hart would have been Joe, the guy, the black person in Stampede Wrestling in 81. That they go coming in, also training from the Hart Dungeon. He married into the family, and they give you a kayfabe bullshit story and say that and Ricky Hart, and it's this light skinned black guy.
Anyway. All right, so we've already spoken about Ricky Starks at length. You know, like we talked about him winning the Omen and what it could mean, etc., etc. But let's talk a little bit about Willow. You know, she beat Athena on the way to winning the Owen Hart tournament while beating Ruby Soho in the final as well. And yeah, man, everyone was kind of happy to see Willow winning. You know, Ruby Soho, she kind of seems like it's all she does is loses finals in AEW. You know, but you know, this year it felt like the right thing to do, man. People love Willow, and she's got great momentum at the moment, and you know, a really spirited choice. I thought. I love Willow, man, and again, same as Ricky Starks, but in a different vein. I just really hope that they have, something big planned for her. And I know she's going to wrestle Athena for the Ring of Honor Women's title. She may even win that, but even more, let's get her on TV, really like flowing, and she's won the Owen now, so it's a good indication that they will do it. But yeah, man, we're all big fans of Willow, aren't we?
Absolutely. AEW has a lot of great wrestlers, and I think Willow is actually kind of creeping into that list. I think she's bordering on great at this point. I think she's been incredible this year.
Yes.
But more importantly than that, I think she's like on a very short list of talent. I think her appeal beyond like this bubble, I honestly don't think people grasp how big a deal she could be. Like, I really hope the promotion has an idea of how to cross that bridge with her. I think she could be a big star. That she is the most likable wrestler in the sport right now. It's crazy. If you don't like Willow Nightingale, it's like, are you good, man? Like, is everything okay? And look, this is worldwide. So if we're saying that, someone must be likable because we're always the dicks who'll be contrarians about things. She's just absolutely infectious, and her work is getting so much better. So absolutely the right choice. I think it leaves you an interesting story to tell with Ruby down the line. She lost the TBS final. She lost both her own finals, as you mentioned, Monty. And that's that works. That's something you can go back to. But this was absolutely the right choice for Saturday. You need to get moving with this Willow thing because she's not a prospect anymore. She's already on that stage, and now it's a matter of just getting better and better with opportunities. So she's very special.
I completely agree, and it was just so nice to see the celebration with the confetti and everything. And for me, I thought it salvaged what was a bit of a nothing tournament on the women's side, to be honest. There wasn't really much to write home about from a work standpoint or anything like that. And
she didn't get any of that.
Manny's camera angle is just ridiculous. I don't like, it's just like, why am I up his nose? Like what? What's going on here?
Oh, it's good shit.
Yeah, I didn't expect Willow to win this match, actually. I just assumed, I'm like, all right, well, they're going to give it to Ruby, and maybe Athena costs her to set up the Ring of Honor match. But no, they just went with the person who's a hot hand, who's ascending, who's over, who's doing great. And, when it hit me, I'm like, wow, I respect it. Keep it simple. She's working. She's doing great. Yeah. And so I fully support it, and I'm a big fan of it. And Manny's gone. But good shit. Good choice.
Good choice, man. But yeah, to even Joe's point, I think she can really, really special potential for upside with her if you give her the right opportunities to flourish. Manny is back.
Yeah, my bad. My big finger actually hit the leave button.
God bless. Manny, you're a fan of Willow Nightingale, aren't you?
Yeah, she's cool.
See, even Manny.
I like her
Very
trophy.
short and sweet, but
I
even
like her
man,
trophy over rookies. I like how it had flowers and all that in it. It looked very nice.
pop.
Oh, that was very nice, Manny.
It was.
Very
It
nice.
was. You know.
And plus, the
I will
streamers are only
say-
safe for a rookie, though. Just want to point that out.
I will say, because this match completely fell through the cracks because of all the wrestling that followed it on the weekend. Athena and Willow is worth your time on Rampage. Like, I know
Yes.
obviously everyone's been spoiled on it because, it was the next day she won the damn thing, but that match was really like a really good TV version of their other TV match that was absolutely not a TV match in terms of, work, right? That was like an expansive match, but that match was really nice. Like, not like a match of the year or anything, but
Yeah, it was only
really
like
well
10
wrestled.
minutes.
Yeah, really well wrestled. And
Mm.
again, it just speaks to, I'm saying a lot on here. I think we all have. Like, Willow's work, it gets better every time I see her. It's quite striking.
Yeah, she's awesome, man. Yeah. As Ibu mentioned earlier on in the podcast, WWE is actually it's completely sold out for Monday Night Raw tonight, 12K in
Atlanta,
Georgia, the home of Cody Rhodes.
I would
Doing
hope this
Cody
is
Rhodes
Atlanta.
special merch and everything. But yeah, man, over 12,000 people. Then again, sold out for Friday in Orlando, Florida. I know it's Florida. I'm only like 80% sure it's Orlando.
It's Orlando,
Another
Indiana.
12,000 people. But yeah, another 12,000 people. WWE is incredibly hot at the minute. And it has been for a long, long while now. And it feels like every time we kind of touch on the subject, it feels like something that, it's going to have an expiration date, as it always does in wrestling. But they just keep, it just keeps going and going. And like even to this week, like I said, they've sold out Raw and SmackDown, like completely sold it out. And these are just TV tapings. You see the house shows. They're putting 4, 5, 6, 7, 8K in these. All the TVs are doing at least like 8K, 9K. Like this week they're doing 12K. The stadium shows are all doing like 40, 50, 60,000. It's like I said, it just keeps going. The momentum just keeps going and going and going. Obviously, it struck gold with Cody Rhodes coming in at the time when they really needed like a top guy babyface. Then mixed in with all that, you had the ongoing thread of the bloodline. The Sami Zayn stuff really picked up momentum and really helped them. And now this bloodline stuff is like on a completely different level, And they're killing it, Joe.
They are, mate. I mean, it's quite impressive. I'm not an expert on this, especially on this part of the game, but many people who are very educated on it feel like this is the hottest they've been in like over a decade. Maybe even 2. I think some people have suggested, right? Some people are saying it's the hottest since way back, the real boom there in the late 90s. That's I can't speak to that with too much kind of analysis, but I will say that it's always cool to see the buildings fall for the industry leader. It's a good thing for the business, And the thing that is encouraging, I think, from the outside looking in terms of this fan base, I think it seems there are like new fans are being found with this particular boom, which is very encouraging because let's be completely honest, it's been a while. Like, if like but just based on my personal interactions and things I see on social media that isn't our wrestling Twitter, like it seems like the bloodline thing has crossed about as much as a wrestling angle will cross in 2023. Because media is different now and everyone watches whatever they want to watch because there's, whatever you're into, there's 100 options to watch. But like, it seems like it's crossed over in some degree. And I think the kind of powerhouse they built on their many social medias, WWE, in the last decade, they've finally got a product that can kind of capitalize on it with some of these characters. Like I think to some extent Rhea is blowing up in that regard. I know LA Knight is. I can't.
On TikTok.
Right.
Huge.
So it's like they kind of had these pieces in place, but the show was bad. So there wasn't characters connecting like that. So that's been an interesting part of it. I think the one thing I would circle was just kind of looking at broadly. I think the Peacock deal is really important to this. I think it's really important because with a Peacock sub, you get every monthly, all the monthly shows, and you can absolutely follow WWE the monthly shows. I know that because I do it, So it's like, I think that is actually a big thing for getting fans that used to watch back in and getting some fans who are kind of only ever watch some stuff on YouTube, just dive in. Because Peacock, obviously, there's a lot of folks have that for reasons beyond wrestling, goes without saying. So I think that's a big deal.
Yeah, I think it all contributes because, like you said, Peacock just makes it all so accessible in the States, and it's just, throw a bit of wrestling on. It's easy. It's always so heavily promoted as well, and like you said, the social media powerhouse that they've become as well. Like on every social media, the YouTube's got an absurd amount of subscribers. The TikToks and it's like one of the most. I think it's the biggest, what would you even call it? Like sports franchise league, fucking,
Yeah.
whatever it is. It's like the most followed one, like more than the NFL, more than the NBA, etc., etc. So, they're a worldwide global powerhouse, man. And as Joe said, they've got characters now that capitalise on it. So, Roman's like, his TikToks blow up whenever he wants to post on there, and it's just, it's.
Did he get suspended?
He did. He did actually. He did. He got. I don't know why. But,
What, from
kicked
TikTok?
him. Yeah, they kicked him off, bro. I don't know if he's
From
back
the
now. He
TikTok.
probably is, but
He got it back after a day.
no, there you go. You can't keep Roman away. He's bringing too much money in. They're hot, bro. They're hot. I don't know how long it will last, but it feels like we kind of preface it every time we talk about this over the past months, year, maybe longer than that now. When did it actually first? Like, when would you say they first got hot? Because they were hot coming back. When the crowds came back.
Yeah.
So that was
I
a hot time
I-
because it was a hot time kind
I
of
think
everywhere.
I honestly think when Cody came in, like legitimately.
Then
Yeah.
Triple H, then Cody, and then Cody, and then Triple H.
There was one thing
then
that was
Vince
suggested to me, and I don't know how the analytics back this up, but one thing that was suggested to me was like, there are definitely fans who actually came back when the Punk AEW thing happened, and then they just slowly or steadily veered back to WWE anyway because that's the wrestling they know. If that makes any sense? Like, because I know
Yeah.
people personally who did that. Like, they hadn't watched wrestling for years. They came back with the first dance, and inevitably they were watching AEW. It's like, let's see what is happening in WWE. And then by the time a year later, Triple H has creative and it's a new WWE and they're a babyface promoter, so on and so forth. So it's interesting. A lot of moving pieces with that.
The trend was they had a couple great advances for the first few weeks coming back, but then after that it immediately leveled off. Then they used John Cena to sell tickets in the late summer of 2021, and then business took a nosedive in the fall, and they were struggling to they were having to use comps just to get 6,000 people on Raw, like in the fall of 2021, and they were pretty right, yeah. They were pretty ice. They were ice cold late 2021, and the first signs of positive momentum were coming out of WrestleMania in what was it, Dallas in 2022,
Mhm.
that big one, where Stone Cold came back and Cody Rhodes showed up. If you follow like the ticket sales and the ratings for like Raw in 2022, there was a slight uptick after that, right? Then when the Vince scandal happened, there was like a weird increased interest in the product following that.
Of course, yeah.
And so that helped things. And then it just exploded with the Triple H regime stuff. And they had a really super hot summer last summer following this, like around August, September. And like you said, Joe, like we just assumed, or I think it was Monty who said, like from that point, it was like we just assumed the hot streak was going to end at some point. I thought it was going to get to Mania, right? And then when the Mania result happened, I'm like, all right, so like this is probably. I remember I was talking to you guys off air about like,
Mhm.
you think this is where like it's over, and it hasn't. Like it just continued, and now it's like a two-headed monster of domination now with Raw and SmackDown. And the part of it that's cool to me from a takeaway standpoint is that it's headed by the two guys who are on a collision course for Mania next year. And I still feel that Cody should have won at Mania this year, and I'm probably never going to change that opinion no matter what they do. But with that said, they do have a situation now where Cody Rhodes is absolutely leading the charge from a business standpoint on Mondays. I mean, they're distributing George's own Cody Rhodes T-shirts today, but he's leading the charge on Mondays with that, getting the biggest reaction. Still, the fans still believe in him, which is cool. And then on Fridays, I mean, they're doing what they do with the whole bloodline stuff, and it's hotter than it's ever been. So yeah, man, they're just white hot. It's kind of crazy to have 12,000 people on these TVs, and they're doing it pretty regularly now. And I told my buddy Joseph Monticello this yesterday. It's just the first time in a long time that their fans are happy with their product. And it just wasn't the case for a long time. For the longest time, WWE fans were fighting with the company, and the company was frankly just fighting back. You know, if they wanted Daniel,
Yeah.
companies to give us Daniel Bryan, and they're like, all right, fuck you, we'll give it to you a little bit, but as punishment for you forcing our hand here, we'll do this, and this. We want Kofi Kingston. Okay, you'll get Kofi Kingston. We're also gonna have Brock squash him and do these other things you don't want. You know, the company was at war with them. The real feud of the year was WWE versus the fan base. You know, and now it's like they've babyfaced themselves to their fans, and it's led to this. And that's another obvious lesson they should have taken a long time ago, which is make your base happy, because look what happens.
Yeah, and the timing as well with everything, I think I always bang on about. It's just there's always been like something that lines up perfectly in terms of getting people to buy these tickets for the shows. It's like you've got, you know, the return to crowds. Obviously, people just kind of wanted to go for the sake of going. You know, like there was all that. Then you kind of capitalize on that. Then you got Cody coming. People want to come in and see Cody. It's WrestleMania season, etc., etc. Triple H takes over and they become a babyface company. People are buying tickets for that. Then the Bloodline stuff really picks up with Sami Zayn. Everyone wants to come and see the Sami Zayn segments and see Sami Zayn. And then, you know, you're on the road to WrestleMania, big business. You're coming out of WrestleMania. And, you know, people really want to see Sami Zayn and KO with the belts. Cody still has managed to keep himself really hot. The Bloodline stuff has gone to another gear. And everything is just like they've carried on the momentum really, really well. And it's just a matter of like, what's the next thing going to be? As the bloodline is starting to, like, you know, the bloodline falling apart as they finish this last chapter of it, what'll be the next thing? And you would assume it'll be Cody's title reign, you know? And it's
Sure.
Like, what's up, Joe?
You need the bloodline conclusion to lead directly into your next big thing. Absolutely, to your point, Monty. And the thing I would say is this is even another example of how powerful a central angle that connects can be. You know, like if you look at some of the biggest booms in wrestling television history, be it the NWO angle, be it McMahon versus Austin, these overarching angles that basically take over a whole TV show, and if they connect, can transform your product.
Yes.
The issue is, if they don't connect, they can absolutely destroy everything underneath, you know? And it's like, it's a gamble in that regard. WWE have had some big angles that didn't connect at all and hurt the show for that reason. TNA had one every year. Genuinely.
They did.
Every year they had one. But you do see, if it connects, and it's a big if, but it obviously takes some work. I mean, I think they did about 2 years on the Bloodline before it even really got to this point.
Where it's moving the needle.
Yeah, but once it happens, it could be a game changer. Because let's be honest, there's nothing else on SmackDown. I mean, let's be completely real. I mean, it's not. I don't watch the TV, like, I don't study it. I check out SmackDown for the Bloodline. LA Knight, he's not even on the TV to like that amount, you know. So it's like,
you know what's funny about it, Joe?
It's crazy.
It's what's funny, but on a subjective level, I personally like this week's SmackDown more than any post draft because they scaled back on the Bloodline and remembered like they're supposed to be a TV show. Monty's the guy who tells me grow up when I say this to him privately, you know. But
I get it. I get it.
Yeah, but on most weeks though, when Big Rome is at TV, give me my 50 fucking minutes of TV, you know. And
I gotta be completely honest.
And the audience eats it up. They love it, you know.
I'm the match guide guy. I'm writing all these long matches. I'll be completely transparent. I will watch SmackDown. I watch the Bloodline angles. I'm not watching a minute of wrestling. I'll be completely honest here.
And people
the Madison Square Garden show, I watched only the angles. You know, like it's weird. I don't know.
Joe, I actually know people in real life like this. Like people who like watch wrestling specifically when they Manny something. Monty, I know people who literally they tap in, right? They watch the segments that advance that week's story, and then they just get out. Like literally, and when I ask them about it, they go, I'll watch the match at the pay-per-view. What do I need to
and the big blow off.
Yeah. One thing I want to mention real quick. I didn't mention this even to you guys privately. I spoke to someone at WWE just about the state of things, right? And they were saying to me, just evaluating things now versus maybe 2 to 3 years ago. And they were saying that like when they really assess the roster, there's not that many top heel acts, and that like they're probably gonna have to rectify that soon. But that part of maybe what's helping things when it comes to audience engagement is that there's just so many people at the moment now that are featured that fans just like, and they just have fun liking. And the person mentioned to me, he was just like, look, man, you turn on Raw. I mean, the fans love Drew McIntyre. They love Seth Rollins. They love Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. They love Cody Rhodes. Think about all these acts. They love the Alpha Academy. You know, up and down, there's just a bunch of like babyface acts that the fans just like. And he was comparing that to like, he was like, look back to 2021 and how many guys were just getting beaten like drums and weren't very over as a result. And it was just like, fuck, who's here to like RK Bro, and pretty much that's it. And that's why I said a year ago on Worldwide, man. Like territories are built on baby faces, man.
Absolutely.
Sting,
their
Dusty, the
one.
Road, yeah, right.
Their one was always built on baby faces,
Sting, Dusty, the Road Warriors, man. Like this is what it's about, And like, I agreed with the guy's sentiment that like you are gonna have to set up some top heels to counter them, and they have some in Judgment Day and Imperium, but. At the end of the day, to get the people in the building to care, to like the product, to engage with it, right? You need a lot of people that you just like.
It is funny that like there always used to be that debate where people would say maybe Vince is bad, and people are like, no, bro, like it's just the fans are haters.
No,
And we're now a year into the somewhat post Vince regime, and fans are just back in the buildings and watching the show again. It's like, oh, I wonder, like, who could have cracked that code,
Masfan84 sends us $2. It says, "How will the WWE Cody Dark, which is going to be on Peacock, avoid talking about AEW?" I don't know, man. If it's Cody, I don't think they will. To be honest,
they'll say he went away to find himself.
Yeah, they'll say it like that, but they'll talk like because it's. I can imagine if it's Cody, he'll wanna.
Cody's gonna have this soundbite where he's like, and he's probably gonna be talking about when he did Indies. But this will be all they'll say. He'll be like, there's something about working in those smaller buildings, those intimate settings. And when I did that, I found myself, and I came back to the big leagues here in the World Wrestling Entertainment, and it'll be clipped up. Poor Evil will be tweeting about it for a day. It'll be brutal.
That sounds like when a comedian talks about like doing a small room.
Yeah, it's just you connect with everyone in there, man.
WWE documentaries are historically kind of disingenuous and like to kind of bend things and disregard other promotions. But they are well produced.
They're cheap, but they're good producers.
They're always very well made. Yeah,
I was gonna say this. So the thing is, this one will. People are getting their bits about the AEW thing. This one is going to mention AEW. Like I was privy to this documentary a fucking year ago. This has been made. This has been in progress since he got back to the company.
He looks very good.
And I'm pretty excited to check it out. It is 100% going to have some Cody ass statements where he says some Cody ass shit.
That's what we're tuning in for, bro.
Yeah, Cody
I won't be watching
about like Sammy Guevara or some shit. Like,
Manny,
what you gonna say, mate?
Go ahead.
I don't need to see a documentary about a guy that's still doing his thing. That's just me.
What do you mean?
It's insane.
He's still wrestling.
They have to die.
What do you think is the last chapter of the documentary, Joe? Is it going to be him like desolate and broken after losing to Roman at Mania, and then you see Cody sitting in his chair looking at the camera, and just kind of like, it's these failures.
It's him looking at a dusty statue.
It's these failures that keep me going.
We'll see how it all.
We'll see how it plays
out. Oh, there you go. I got it. Look, he's looking at a dusty statue while a poster of Roman holding the titles in the background, and they're gonna do like a cinematic, pan around it, and they're gonna show him looking at the poster in the statue and all that, and then there's gonna be like a WrestleMania sign or something.
They play dramatic music. Go ahead.
Stop. Stop. Just stop this shitty bit, All right. Like the video, please. Not enough likes on this video for my liking. We've had a pretty good audience. We had a good house tonight, and we need to just hit the like button, man. Hit that like button. It helps us out a lot, especially after the stream finishes. It helps us get a bit of momentum going. Hit the like button. Hit the like button. Hit the like button. But yeah, there's a few other things that happened over the weekend. There was Slammiversary, as Joe mentioned. Nick Aldis had a good showing against Alex Shelley. Trinity won the Knockouts World title, which is a big pop for a lot of wrestling fans. It's good to see her kind of really doing a thing, obviously it was good to see her kind of get into Impact and kind of, do a thing. And now she's in a, world title feud, world title holder, and she's doing the damn thing, man. Good for her. So,
when was Slammiversary?
This weekend, like I just said. And yeah, let's touch on the G1.
Is there anything I need to watch from there?
Yeah, Manny, you want to talk about Hanari Nichols? Give you a platform to kind of talk about what you called a Hooper Classic 5-star and was messaging me in all capitals about.
Oh yeah, I can. So pretty much about this match, I didn't know this happened, I thought Hinari and Nichols were shitters, and I decided I was gonna skip over it till, like I said, I saw Hinari's face, and I said, "Oh, I gotta respect the game." And then I rewind it, and man, who's
Man, you've muted yourself.
oh, give me 1 sec, guys.
Okay.
No, here we go. Either you want to talk about Nichols versus Nara? Give Manny a lead in, you know?
Yeah. This match is awesome, man. It's two guys who, going into the tournament, they're not names that jump out the page when it comes to the G1. I mean, Mikey Nichols is just a henchman in TMDK, and Aaron Hanare is the same thing in the United Empire. But they went out there and they basically decided, fuck these musketeer labels, fuck all of that. We're gonna just show out and like beat the shit out of each other. And this match was like admirable and and awesome because of that. I mean, they just decided to kill each other. Not the smoothest thing in the world, but just super spirited, and like you could feel just the ambition from the guys. It was really ambitious. They tried to kill each other. There was a crazy head bump at the end. It was like Masaw's Emerald Flosion Kai. And this is maybe my favorite match of the tournament so far.
My God,
stuff.
that rules.
Wait, whoa, what were you talking about right now?
Hanara and Nichols.
Oh yeah, so that match was. So I went back and I watched it,
Mm-hmm.
and man, everything I have to respect game, man. I'm gonna watch every match Shinari's in, and if Mikey Nichols is alive and still wrestling, I might. I'll take that back. I won't watch everything, but I'm excited for his matches. But man, the way these guys dropped each other on their head and just beat the shit out of each other, and I said, "Fuck, man, this is CTE wrestling, bro. This is all you can ask for." Like, this is just some of the stuff that people would ignore and wouldn't and like I did, but would and just like pay no mind. But I'm glad I stopped what I was doing and I watched it because I ended up watching I ended up going back and watching some of most of this card because I thought, man, these guys were working their ass off, and like I'm shocked about that headbutt busting Mikey Nichols open. Like, it was just freaking awesome. They were just dumping each other on the head. I really need everybody to stop what you're doing and watch the best match of the weekend. This is what it was.
Elegant.
Go
on, man.
I also gotta say, Shooter, bro, he had no charisma whatsoever when he was walking down that tunnel. I said, look at this fucking loser, bro. Look at him. And then looked like a bum trying to copy Moxley. And then he walks into the crowd, and then out of nowhere just gets this charisma. I'm like, where was this in like the 2-minute walk before the crowd? And then, I thought he was all right until he started copying like Moxley and Claudio's moves and all that. And I said, oh man, maybe this guy has it. He has what it takes. So there you go. Those are my thoughts on Shooter. And Ren Narita, what happened to him, man? He got like, did he find some stuff or what? He freaking got yoked.
No, he didn't. What do you wait? What?
Yeah,
me and you were like, huh? What?
He looks bigger than last time I seen him.
What are you talking about?
I thought he looks like. I had the opposite reaction.
Well, he looks like shit.
Yeah.
But I mean,
like he's jellyish, like.
That fucking rules.
That is like when Manny said that Chris Hero's in great shape now. It's like, what? Look, real quickly, I'm going to say this. I like the Shooter versus Narita more as a piece of business than I loved it as a match, to be honest. It's one of those things where the company positioned them to have like the epic singles match on the first night. And when you're trying to establish them as your 3 labeled next top guys, you got to do that type of thing. Did I love the match? I liked it a lot. I thought the counters and the work towards the ending stretches were really good. I think Shota Umino is coming along as a wrestler. When it comes to charisma and sauce and all that type of stuff, I will say, like to Manny's point, some of it is a bit like manufactured charisma than like him actually having some within himself. It's like stuff thrown on him. But look, it'll come with time, hopefully. Narita, I'd like to see a bit more bite to his offense, a little more physicality and grit to his strikes. I thought the elbow strikes at the beginning of their match was kind of like Monday Night Raw level elbows, to be honest, especially compared to like Nakajima. But
it took a while to get going. Definitely.
Yeah. But it did end up very good, and I thought that was a highlight. I thought Yota Tsuji did look. Yota Tsuji, I'm not crazy on him as a worker, but he is very charismatic. He's super charismatic, and I thought he looked good in his match with Kaito.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
We also, before we go, we have to quickly shout out Kingston and Shingo. because
No, yeah, I was about to say
Yeah.
exactly.
Oh
that.
my god!
12
Go on,
minutes,
Joe.
tremendous, like kind of greatest hits version of the match they could have, an extended match they could have. Shingo, with an incredibly selfless effort, really gave Eddie a lot. Because the real natural way of doing that match, if you did it in America, for example, Shingo would beat the hell out of Eddie and the people would root Eddie to his feet and he would keep firing. You couldn't do that in front of this crowd because they didn't know Eddie. They didn't want to root him up to his feet to begin with, right? So he gave Eddie a lot, and Eddie is versatile enough to play that role, and had a really nice it was a nice preview of what Eddie, the Japanese fans are going to get from Eddie. He won't have many better matches, unfortunately, because of the block, but I like the match a lot.
Yeah, good
My
stuff.
favorite
man.
part of the match is when Shingo kept yelling at, because Eddie was selling a lot,
Mm.
and then he just kept yelling Eddie, Eddie, and then as soon as he got up, he just hit him with the pumping bomber, which was pretty funny to me.
Yeah, it was a decent start to the G1. There's been better opening weekends, but it was a decent start. It definitely had some highlights, and we got to see Kingston wrestle Shingo. So, Ben Dixon, $5 Australian. Appreciate you very much. Cody's documentary ends in true Cody style, an alternative universe where Cody won at Mania, solved racism, and becomes president in 2024. I mean, don't give him the script, bro. Sean Morgan, 999. Wanting to show you guys some love before the podcast ends. Have a great night, fellas. Appreciate you
Sean.
very much,
Thank you,
Sean.
Sean. Very
Hope
nice.
you have a great night also, and I hope everyone else has a great night. And thank you very much for joining us. Manny?
Before we go, can I give a shout out to Tom Cruise?
No.
Mission Impossible was awesome.
No, bro, fuck that. Like the video. Make sure you like the video, please. If you're not subscribed, make sure you're already subscribed. What else we got? Turn on post notifications. Subscribe to us on Twitch. What else am I thinking? Joe Hulbert's match guide. What else we got? Dumb Guy Live tomorrow, 7:30 Eastern. And again, thank you very much for watching. And please like the video on your way out. And subscribe if you haven't already. And again, thank you very much. And I'm trying to find the outro video and I can't find it right now. And there it is.
Happens.
Peace, everyone.
Good night.